You know what time it is? It's time for more attribute training. Let's do this, guys. Today, we're going to be going over one of my favorite styles of martial arts, Demo Sinawali. So make sure that you have two things that act as a stick available for you guys. If you don't have two wooden sticks, you can just use a combat sword and a wooden stick as well. You can also use a ladle and a large spoon, it doesn't matter. We're going to go over a double stick technique today called 5-hit and learn some attributes that help us get that down. So make sure you grab your wood and let's get started. Let's get ready to rock and roll. Let's have some fun, guys. First things first, we're going to go over our 5 basic strikes as well as our knee stance and a couple attributes that are going to help us get these drills down really well. Remember, in my knee stance, the tip of my weapon is always pointing towards my opponent. My dominant side, the side that's holding the weapon, that same foot is in front, which is kind of contrary to our usual Kempo stance. Gripping as hard as you can with your pinky, we're going to go over our 5 basic strikes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How are you, sir? Wrenchy just got a package. What? Wonder what it is. The 1 and the 2 strike are a forehand and backhand strike to the location of the head. The 3 and the 4 strike are still a forehand and backhand technique, aiming more in the direction of the leg. Number 5 strike is simply a poke to the center mass, belly button, or chest. One of the reasons we're aiming to the legs on those 3 and 4 strikes as opposed to the ribs or the body is because if someone swings at my ribs, I'm actually giving them more options. They can block like a number 1 or a number 3 because it's going to the midsection of the body. However, if someone's swinging a 1 right at my face, I think you guys would agree I cannot block that like a number 3. And likewise, if someone's throwing to my ribs, I cannot block that like a number 2. So that's why we aim extra high and extra low, so our opponent has less options to block with. We're going to go over something called a wood tick. So this is a whipping technique that travels 180 degrees in the Arnis system. I'm going to take my hand. I'm going to make sure that I have a decent grip on the weapon with not too much puño at the end exposed behind my pinky. I'm going to make contact with the tip of the weapon and try my best to just keep it 180 degrees. And not let the wrist travel forward towards the camera, but keep it very stiff in this whipping fashion. That's a great way to practice the basics. Make sure your cover hand stays up for best practices. Start slow. Hit with the tip of your weapon. Of course, I can do it with both hands. Make sure the tip of the weapon does not come towards the camera or towards you. Next move is going to be a lop tick motion. Not to be confused with a wood tick, a lop tick, also known as a flywheel, is going to be a 360 degree strike. I like to personally refer to this position as my checkpoint. So I always go back to my checkpoint. Notice how this time we're applying a little bit more reach than the initial wood tick. I'm really extending my arm all the way out, traveling back to my checkpoint. Next, a floreta strike. Floreta is a Filipino term which means to flower. However, there's nothing pretty or smelly goody about getting hit in the face with a stick. Notice how the stick really reaches out, just like on that lop tick. Continues moving the same direction, passes 360 degrees either in front of my head or behind my head at this point in time, and then makes contact from the same side of my target. My hips rotate for maximum power. You notice that my cover hand stays in that same location so I do not hit myself with my stick. Imagine if your cover hand wasn't there and this wasn't a stick, it was a machete. Ow. If you think about it, I can only really make that mistake twice. Now we're going to break down 5-hit. Now I'm going to mirror you guys so you guys can get this down, but remember, it can be done on both sides. I'm going to start with the stick in my right hand, hit on the right side of the pad, floreta style, thus hitting that side of the pad 2 times. From there I'm going to rebound down, hitting the left side of the pad. Now I'm back at the beginning, stick on that shoulder. Hit with the tip of your weapon, follow through for the first 2 strikes, rebound it off your shoulder with that good cover hand, and aim to the leg for this 3rd strike. Remember to practice this just as often on the right and the left. That will be useful later. Now we're going to go over the left hand, or the secondary hand. This side's pretty easy. I'm going to do a forward strike down low, and a backhand strike up high. That's it. Though basic, remember doing this on both sides is muy importante. Now we start to piece them together. It'll look something like this. Okay, got it? Go. So what what I'm really gonna do is I'm gonna take that right hand, I'm gonna do that Floretta motion until I transfer over to the other side. Then I'm gonna take my right hand, go low, follow through with my left hand, go low. Now you'll notice the sticks are on one side. I hit back with my left hand. I kind of reset back to where I was. Floretta with the right, double low, alternate, hit back with the left, then I reset. I'm going to do a forwards and backwards motion throughout this drill. To start out with, if I'm on the offense, I step forward with my right foot and do my Floretta with my right hand. Then, I'm going to step forward as I do my double hit with my left foot. Now I got to get back to where I started. So as I step back to where I started. Now my right foot's in front and I've reset. Now I got to move backwards. I basically take my right hand, staying in place as my opponent steps forward, step back with my right foot as I do the downwards Florettas on that side. Then I step forward, reset. Then I continue this motion. Rinse, repeat over and over again.
If you were to do this drill with a partner, make sure that your partner steps back as you step forward. You will still both be making contact with the same hands, whether that's right or left at the same time. Just make sure your distance is appropriate.
Boom, baby! Thanks for joining me for another episode of Attribute Training, guys. We'll be in touch and I'll see you next time. Yes!